Globally, HIV remains a major public health issue. In the state of Maryland, an estimated 34,781 people are living with HIV, with certain groups disproportionately affected. In recognition of World AIDS Day, we sit down with Andre Bogle, Program Administrator for the Health Department of Howard County, Maryland. With 2 decades of experience in public health, Andre shares his insights on the current state of HIV and AIDS, the importance of awareness, and how we can all contribute to ending this epidemic.
I didn't choose this area chose me. When I got here, I was able to get the opportunity to get a position through the Maryland Department of Health, Howard County Division, as a tobacco control coordinator. As you work for public health, you're introduced into different subset of what public health entails. And HIV was one of those things, and disease investigation also. So that's how I fell into this niche. And I realized that I actually enjoy it and I could be effective at it. And it had tons of community contact. I am a child of the 70s and the 80s, and I remember in the 80s what that looked like, what HIV looked like, what it sounded like, and what it looked like again in terms of how the public responded to the epidemic, right? And fast forward to now, there's still remnants of those perception of what HIV was versus what it is right now. But we have made leaps and bounds in terms of how we treat it, how we advocate against it, and how do we provide services for persons who are affected by or infected with HIV. Because it's not just, okay, a person's HIV positive and then that's just it. A lot of what goes into making this individual healthy and whole doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the HIV virus itself. Employment, housing, food, family construct. These are a lot of these things impact negatively how well a person is going to be being HIV positive. The stigma around HIV/AIDS have evolved and also still stagnant. Some of the old ideation that we've come out of the 80s with are still prevalent because we're still living with our aunts and our uncles and our parents from that generation. And then we have the current crop of people who are of the new age, who understand that you can live a fruitful life being HIV positive, providing that you're in care, virally suppressed, practicing safe sex. And bringing those two together becomes problematic because the old way of thinking still can't get over the new way of processing. And so we're continually trying to bridge the gap. People of color, from the get-go, have been disenfranchised. We are way behind on the totem pole when we're talking about educational standard, exposure to public health and various public health works. And now you're talking about having to learn about a disease. If we back up to 1970s, right? 60s. 60s and 70s were free love. Not a lot of people were using condoms. Not a lot of people were talking about safe sex. We were talking about free love, enjoying each other, woo-hoo-hoo, right? Great. We move into the 80s. The 80s is dominated by HIV. It's a male-to-male exposure thing, right? It doesn't have to do with me as a heterosexual. And then latter part of the 80s, getting into the 90s, we're realizing, oh no, this is not a male-to-male contact thing. This is a sexual thing, right? And so as we move on, if you speak to those people compared to the people now, they don't have the same respect for it because their exposure to it wasn't the same. 2000s to now, these crop of people are seeing treatment, health department reaching out to people who are positive to say, hey, your lab was positive, come in and get tested, bring your partner with you. It's a completely different mindset. We've done a lot of work, but there's still a lot of work to be done. We as public servant, it is incumbent upon us to learn what we learn, impart that knowledge onto our stakeholders in our community, whether it is our community-based organization, our churches, our politicians, our teachers. We want to make sure that they know what we know so that they can pass it on to their respective communities. We all have to become ambassadors of what we're talking about. And we as public servants can't do it by ourselves. Whatever it is that you're looking for, use us as a guide and as a resource to help you bolster whatever initiative that you're doing. We don't have all the answers, but what we do have is the resource to find those answers. We're not here to judge you. We're here to provide you with a public service, provide you with testing, treatment where relevant, and you can refer your friends and your partners to us and we'll do the same. All information is protected by HIPAA, and we're not in the judging business. We're in the testing and treatment business and education.